My dear friends, let me ask you a question that will shake the very foundation of your soul. What if you lived every single day as if everything, yes, everything was working out for you? What if, no matter the chaos, no matter the confusion, no matter the setback or the silence, you chose to believe with unshakable faith that God is aligning every detail for your favor? You see, the world is full of noise, filled with voices that shout limitations, echo fears, and preach defeat. But in the midst of it all, there is a divine whisper, a holy call, a sacred pull that comes from the throne of God Himself, saying, "Trust me. Walk like it's already done. Move like it's already settled. Speak like it's already accomplished. Act as if everything is working out for you. Because when I am your God, it truly is. This is not some fantasy. This is not blind hope. This is divine confidence rooted in the sovereignty of God, grounded in the truth that God is not a God of confusion, but a God of order. He is not a God who forgets, but a God who orchestrates. You may not see the plan, but that does not mean there is no plan. You may not feel progress, but that does not mean you are not advancing. Just because your eyes are filled with tears doesn't mean your life is filled with failure. The truth is, many of the things that look like setbacks are set-ups in disguise. But only those who walk by faith, not by sight, will recognize it. You see, faith isn't just something we feel in moments of worship. It's not something we touch only when we're desperate. Faith is a daily decision, a constant posture, a lifestyle of radical trust in a God who never abandons His people. So when I say act as if everything is working out for you, I am not telling you to fake it. I am telling you to faith it. I am telling you to rise up in the boldness of spiritual authority, to shake off the lies of the enemy, and to wear the robe of confidence that God has already tailored for you. Because God has gone before you. God has prepared the way. God has seen the end from the beginning. And when God is on your side, nothing, absolutely nothing, can stand against you. You were not created to live in fear. You were not born to dwell in doubt. God did not shape you in your mother's womb for you to crawl through life begging for scraps of joy, scraps of peace, scraps of purpose. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are a vessel of destiny. God has written your story with divine precision, and there is not a single chapter that is wasted. Even the pain, even the losses, even the delays, they all serve His higher purpose. That's why you can walk into every room as if the solution is already waiting. You can step into the unknown as if it's already familiar. You can carry yourself with the composure of someone who has seen the outcome, because your trust is not in the world, but in God. And hear me now, there is no arrogance in this kind of confidence. This is not pride. This is praise. This is not boasting in your strength. This is resting in God's strength. It is knowing that while others depend on their plans, their connections, their education, or their money, you are depending on God. And that is more than enough. That is why you can smile while the world frowns. That is why you can sing in the middle of storms. That is why you can rest when others are panicking, because you know something they don't. You know that God never loses control. You know that God never leaves things unfinished. You know that God never allows anything to happen unless it's working together for your good. Now let me speak to those of you who are in the middle of the struggle, those who have prayed and not yet seen results, those who have fasted and still feel stuck, those who have done everything right, yet life still seems to fall apart. I want to speak into your spirit right now. God is still working. You may not feel it, you may not see it, but God is doing more behind the scenes than you could ever imagine. Just because you are in a dark place doesn't mean God has left you. In fact, some of God's greatest work happens in the dark. Seeds grow in the dark. Diamonds form under pressure. Purpose is refined in pain. You may feel forgotten, but heaven knows your name. You may feel broken, but God sees your wholeness. So lift your head, straighten your back, and walk with faith, because what's coming is better than what has been. Let the world call it delusion. Let the critics call it denial. But you walk like it's already yours. You speak like the door is already open. You pray like the answer is already on the way. Because when you act like everything is working out for you, you are not being unrealistic, you are being prophetic. You are declaring with your posture what your spirit already knows, that God is faithful, that God is intentional, that God is not playing games with your life. You're not living in fantasy, you're living in divine expectation. There is power in expectation. There is an anointing that rests upon those who believe, even when nothing looks believable. That's why the enemy wants to break your spirit, because once your expectation dies, your fight dies with it. But I came to remind you today, do not let your expectation die. Do not let your hope dry up. Act as if everything is working for your favor, because when you live like that, you shift the atmosphere, you change the energy in the room, you move from survival to dominion, you stop reacting and start responding, you stop doubting and start declaring. And that is when God begins to move in ways that blow your mind. Some of you are standing in front of closed doors, and you've been knocking, crying, waiting. But let me tell you, when God closes a door, it's not because He's punishing you, it's because He's protecting you. Every no from God is a redirection. Every delay is a divine preservation. You think you've been denied, but God is just setting the stage for something greater. You must learn to move with divine rhythm, not ahead of God, not behind Him, but with Him. And the only way to do that is to trust, fully, fearlessly, faithfully. Stop waiting for things to look good before you praise. Stop waiting for people to approve before you move. Stop waiting for clarity before you commit. Walk like it's already done. Act like it's already yours. Rejoice like the battle is already won. Because if God said He is with you, then what are you afraid of? Why are you second guessing? Why are you entertaining fear? Fear is not your friend, it is your enemy, and faith and fear cannot occupy the same space. Choose faith, choose belief. Choose confidence, not in yourself, but in the one who created you for such a time as this. I know it's not always easy. I know some nights you cry into your pillow and wonder if any of this is real. I know sometimes you doubt if God even hears you. But don't you let the silence convince you of absence. Just because heaven is quiet doesn't mean God is absent. Sometimes God hides His hand so that your faith can rise. Sometimes He delays the blessing so your heart can mature. But rest assured, He never forgets His children. He never abandons His promises. He never leaves things halfway. He is a finisher. And what He started in you, He will complete. So act like you know it's already coming. Dress for the victory. Prepare for the breakthrough. Plan for the overflow. Speak as though the floodgates are already opening. Because when you live like that, when you breathe like that, when you move like that, you send a message to every demon in hell: I will not be shaken. I will not be moved. I will not give in. Because God is my refuge. God is my foundation. God is my defender, and He never loses battles. Some of you need to stop explaining your faith to people who don't understand your vision. You are not crazy. You are not too ambitious. You are not naive. You are simply aligned with God's purpose. And when you walk in purpose, don't expect everyone to applaud. Some will misunderstand you. Some will criticize you. Some will try to discourage you. But you must keep going. You must keep walking as if everything is working out for you, because it is. Even in the valley, keep walking like the mountaintop is your next stop. Even in the fire, keep speaking as if the flames can't touch you. Even in the lion's den, keep believing that no harm will come near you. Because when God is with you, natural laws do not apply. When God is with you, supernatural favor breaks the rules. And those who act in faith will see miracles that the doubters will never witness. This is not about pretending. This is about perceiving. It's about living from a higher perspective. It's about seeing with spiritual eyes what the physical world cannot yet confirm. God wants to take you higher. But to go higher, you must first believe higher. You must think higher. You must expect higher. And that begins by acting as if God's promises are already manifesting. You must command your soul to align with your spirit. You must tell your emotions to submit to your faith. When fear rises, you respond with faith. When doubt whispers, you shout back with declarations of truth. When anxiety creeps in, you counter it with divine peace. This is spiritual warfare. And it's won not by complaining, not by panicking, not by shrinking, but by standing, by speaking life, by acting as if the outcome is already victory. Because it is. You don't have to wait until you see the finish line to celebrate. Start dancing now. Start preparing now. Start sowing now. Act like the blessing is already in motion, because it is. God is not limited by time. He is not bound by logic. What takes man years to build, God can establish in seconds. But He is waiting for your posture to change. He is waiting for you to step out of survival mode and into faith mode. He is waiting for you to carry yourself like a child of heaven, not a beggar of earth. My beloved, listen closely. There is a divine truth the world has forgotten. When you carry the presence of God within you, you are never a victim of the visible. You are guided by the invisible hand of the Almighty, and because of that, you must train your spirit to walk not by what you see, but by what God has spoken. The storm may rage, but if God has declared peace, then peace is your portion. The road may twist, but if God has ordained your direction, then every step is divine. So I urge you, act like your steps are ordered, because they are. Act like every closed door is part of God's plan, because it is. Act like the waiting season is not a punishment, but a preparation, because God is never careless with time. God is not impressed by worry. He is moved by faith. You cannot please God by crying louder, panicking harder, or fearing longer. But when you trust Him boldly, when you walk into the unknown as if it is already conquered territory, you stir the heavens. God responds to the one who says, "Even though I don't understand, I still believe. Even though I can't see the end, I trust the one who wrote the story." And that kind of faith, unyielding, unwavering, uncompromising, becomes a magnet for divine favor. You don't beg for blessings, you expect them. You don't chase peace, you carry it. You don't collapse in adversity, you rise because you know the one who holds the winds and commands the waves. There is a level of spiritual maturity where you stop reacting emotionally and start responding spiritually. You no longer need external validation to know you are on the right path. You no longer tremble when things go wrong. Why? Because your stability is no longer rooted in circumstances. It is rooted in God, the one who is eternal, unshakable, and sovereign over all things. You live with the inner knowing that if God allowed it, then He intends to use it. If He permits the valley, it's because the valley leads to elevation. If He removes certain people, it's because their presence would pollute your purpose. That's why you can walk forward with boldness even when the terrain is unfamiliar. You can act as if the outcome is already settled, because when God is leading, it is. And hear this, when you carry this kind of faith, your energy shifts. You stop broadcasting your pain and start testifying about your peace. You stop telling everyone about your problems and start proclaiming that God is your solution. You no longer ask, "Why is this happening to me?" You begin to declare, "What is God building in me through this?" That's a transformation. That's not religious performance. That is spiritual alignment. You are stepping into your divine identity. You are becoming who God called you to be before the foundation of the world. People may think you're foolish. They may see you're calm in the storm and assume you're in denial. But what they don't see is the unshakable trust you've built with God in the secret place. They don't see the tears you've sown in silence. They don't see the nights you surrendered your will on your knees. They don't see the depth of your reliance on God when everything else was stripped away. But God saw it. And because of that, you now walk with a quiet confidence, a sacred assurance, a holy boldness. That's why you act like everything always works out for you. because you know who you belong to. You know that God is not in the business of letting His children drown in storms that were designed to teach them how to walk on water. And let me speak to the dreamers, the visionaries, the faithful who have dared to believe God for the impossible. Don't you dare shrink back now. Don't you dare allow fear to abort what God has placed in your spirit. You must act as if the outcome is already in your hands. You must speak as if the harvest is already breaking through the soil, not because you are pretending, but because you are perceiving through the lens of the Spirit. And what you perceive by faith is more real than what you see with your eyes. Faith does not deny reality. It declares that God's reality is higher. Let your actions match your belief. Don't just pray for rain, bring an umbrella. Don't just ask for opportunities. Start preparing. Don't just hope for healing. Walk like you are whole. God is moved by preparation. When He sees you moving in faith, heaven opens. When you align your behavior with what you are believing for, doors begin to swing wide. Too many are waiting to feel ready. But faith is not a feeling. It is a decision, a choice to believe that God's hand is stronger than any circumstance, and His promise more powerful than any delay. You don't have to convince others. You don't need their agreement. When God has whispered His will to your soul, that is enough. When He has placed a vision in your heart, guard it. When He has given you a word, protect it. Don't explain it to those who are spiritually asleep. Let your life be the evidence. Let your peace be the sermon. Let your unshakable confidence in God be your testimony. When they see you thriving in places where others collapsed, when they see you glowing in seasons that should have broken you, they'll ask, how? And you'll answer, it was God all along. Act like your future is secure, because it is. Act like your life is guided, because it is. Act like the resources will come, because they will. God is your source, not the job, not the bank, not the people around you. He can feed you in the desert. He can raise support from the most unlikely places. When He provides, no one can stop it. When He elevates, no one can block it. And when He protects, no one can harm what He covers. So why would you live in fear when your life is hidden in the care of the One who sees all, knows all, and controls all? Stop rehearsing your limitations. Stop confessing your past. Speak your future. Declare your destiny. Talk like someone who knows that God is the author and finisher of your story. Even if the chapter you're in feels dark, even if the lines are heavy with sorrow, the next page has already been written with hope. The ink of God never dries up. His promises are not delayed, they are being delivered. But you must be in position to receive. And that positioning begins with your mindset, your posture, your attitude, your expectation. Walk in it now. Let the fire refine you. Let the trials shape you. Let the rejection redirect you. Let the silence teach you. And in it all, act like everything is working for you, because God is working through everything for you. You don't serve a careless God. You serve a God of detail, a God who sees the end while you are still at the beginning, a God who uses even your mistakes as part of the masterpiece. That is why you must not crumble under pressure. You must not doubt in the valley what God told you on the mountain. You must walk, even if you limp. You must believe, even if your voice shakes. Because when God is the architect, no storm can demolish what He is building. Every battle is training ground. Every obstacle is an invitation to rise. Every unanswered question is a doorway to deeper faith. So hold your head high, speak with authority, pray like you mean it, and live like everything is already shifting in your favor. Because the truth is, when you align with God, it already is. You are not waiting for something to begin. You are walking into what God already finished. So act like it, because heaven is watching, the earth is responding, the atmosphere is shifting, and all creation is groaning, not for fear-filled souls, but for sons and daughters of God who walk in power, who move with purpose, who speak with confidence, who live every day with the quiet, unstoppable force of someone who knows that everything is working out not by chance, not by coincidence, but by the divine orchestration of God alone. And now I say to you with urgency in my voice and fire in my spirit, stop hesitating when you were born to move. Stop questioning what God has already confirmed. Stop shrinking when God has already stretched your capacity. This is not the time to sit back and wait for approval. This is the time to walk forward with the confidence that comes from knowing you are backed by the full authority of heaven. God didn't bring you this far to leave you wondering. He brought you this far to show you how to walk as if the mountain is already moved, as if the provision is already sent, as if the victory is already written, because it is. Too many people wait for signs before they move, but God is waiting for movement before He sends the signs. He is waiting for your obedience. He is waiting for your confidence to match your calling. He is waiting for you to act, not based on fear, not based on feelings, but based on faith. Faith in His timing, faith in His wisdom, faith in His process. And when you begin to live from that place, where your trust in God outweighs every visible obstacle, you shift spiritual dimensions. You enter a place where impossibilities begin to crumble, where burdens begin to break, and where doors begin to open, not by effort, but by divine command. Understand this: the moment you act as if everything is working out for you, you silence the voice of fear. You dethrone the lies that say you are forgotten. You disarm the enemy who thrives on your doubt. When you carry yourself like someone who knows God is orchestrating every detail, you become a vessel of power. And people will notice, not because you boast, but because the peace you carry will speak louder than any words you could say. Your silence will be full of authority. Your presence will be saturated with purpose. Your very being will testify to the truth that God is not just in control, He is intimately involved in the very fabric of your life. Do not be deceived by the delay. The waiting season is not empty, it is sacred. It is a chamber where God prepares you for what He has already prepared for you. It is in the waiting that your roots go deep, that your discernment sharpens, that your identity becomes unshakable. You are not being punished. You are being fortified. And when you finally walk into the moment God has appointed, you will not walk in as a beggar, but as a prepared soul, refined by the fire, focused by the silence, and strengthened by the unseen hand of God. God does not waste your pain. He does not overlook your prayers. He does not ignore your tears. Every moment you've spent in quiet surrender, every time you've chosen trust over panic, every decision you've made to keep believing, these are not lost in the wind. They are stored in the vaults of the divine. And when the time is right, when your heart is ready, when your faith has matured, God will release what was held back, not because He changed His mind, but because you finally stepped into the posture that could carry the weight of His blessing. So I challenge you, look in the mirror and see someone who is favored, not forgotten. Speak to your soul and command it to align with the promises of God. Walk through your day not as one who is uncertain, but as one who is led. Move with a rhythm of expectancy. Pray as if the answer is already echoing back. Give thanks not just for what you have, but for what is coming. Because gratitude is the seedbed of miracles. And when you thank God in advance, you testify that you trust His heart, even when you don't yet see His hand. Let your life be a living sermon. Let your peace preach louder than panic. Let your faith interrupt the fear of others. When people see you walking through fire without being burned, when they see you standing still while everything around you shakes, when they see you calm in the eye of chaos, they will begin to ask the question that leads them to truth. What power is holding you together? And your answer, humble and unwavering, will point in one direction only: God, because it is God who holds your tomorrow. It is God who commands the seasons. It is God who lifts one and humbles another. It is God who makes rivers flow in deserts and causes light to shine in the darkest hour. That's why you can live as if the outcome is secure, because you know who is in charge, not man, not systems, not statistics, but God, the one who cannot be overruled, the one whose will always prevail. So stop negotiating with your fear. Stop reasoning with your doubt. Stand in authority. Speak with clarity. Live with the conviction that what God has started in you is unstoppable. Act as if everything is working out for you, because that kind of faith creates movement in the heavens.